What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Key Comic Flip Through. This time we have Eastman and Laird's TMNT issue number 3. So we're continuing that TNT run. Let's go back to 1985 and take a peek at this one. First, it would be a crime not to look at the full cover right here. So let's open this one up. This is a first print. I got it just recently over at Heroes Con, completing my 1 through 10. So I plan on doing all 10 issues in this format. So look forward to that over time. Now, really cool thing about early TMNT books, there's always some kind of drama with the printing. A lot of cool conversations, especially with cartoonist kayfabe. And they went over a little bit of an unknown fact, I suppose. There is a couple different printings of this book. They wanted some early convention copies. This is not one of those. The first 300 to 500 copies, depending on the story and the source, there's some printing differences. So I believe this is an older one, a more common one. And one way you can spot that difference is the Laird photo up here has a lot more white in the lettering. This one's a little bit darker, so you can tell that it's probably a more common print, probably the latter half, right? Not those early convention prints. But if you have a copy of this book and all those letters in Laird are mostly white, kind of like the whites that you see here and like this whiteout, that's probably an earlier copy. You might want to do a little bit more research, but something to look into in case you have a copy of this book. So epic scene right here. A little bit of an homage to the Fabulous Freak Brothers, which I thought was a pretty cool little shout out to them. A lot of cool influences Eastman and Laird had while they were making this comic. So let's dive into the story right now. If you don't remember where we picked off, you can go ahead and look at my issue number 2 breakdown. But essentially, Baxter was outed. Man, he had his Mauser units just like terrorizing everything. There was a lot of real close calls inside that issue, but the Turtles and April escaped from there. So this is them kind of like getting out of the sewers and whatnot. Very interesting usage of panels right there as well. Really doing more than they need to do on a lot of these pages, which is a theme we're going to be seeing going forward in most of these books. Really cool scenery of them escaping. Takes full advantage of these splash pages whenever they possibly can. In fact, we're going to have a double splash page here coming up, but April and the team are relieved that they did not get killed here in the previous issue. So they're on their way out. They don't know where Splinter is necessarily. They're going to go back to their base, and they find out that Splinter was actually taken, and they're back at their home base right now. Everything is destroyed, and they actually say that they spot a little bit of blood and broken Mauser parts. So they know something bad happened, but they don't see a body. So there's a little bit of hope still, right, that he's alive and well. Raphael, this is an issue where their personalities really start to shine, right? We have the hot-tempered, really angry Raphael in here. We got some leadership over here from Leonardo. He's kind of like going over the plan a little bit, like, okay, Mike, you're going to go gather all the important stuff, get things going. Raphael, you're going to help Mike out. Donatello, you're going to keep looking around, keep an eye out for the cops, things like that. So we have the roles starting to solidify inside this issue, which I think is really cool because you can't do anything with the coloring necessarily, and you don't always have the weapons in view. So you need personalities to take over where you can. This is the issue where we start really developing those personalities. Again, Raph being kind of like the hothead that he is, he doesn't really like the plan. He wants to go out, do whatever he wants to do. And this is him like running out right now. This is around the time where those 1-issue micro series were coming out, and Raphael was the first one. I'm interested to know if that story takes place right after he leaves, because he does rejoin the group in the next page over here. So there might be an entire issue wedged in between these 2 pages that we can explore some more. But unfortunately, that Raphael issue is the first appearance of Casey Jones, and it's really expensive. So who knows if I'll ever get it in the PC, but I bet it happens during these pages right here. So the guys are out looking for Splinter. We have Raphael joining the group again, saying, no, I slipped through all the cops and everything. No, I did not find Splinter. So they're back on the run again. In the previous couple pages, April gave them her number, right? In case you need any help, right? I'm always around, so call me up. They do just that because they need to find a new place to hide. Their sewers, their base, and everything is swarming with cleanup crews and police. They want to know what's going on after this big Baxter incident, right? So they're trying to figure out where they can go. They call up April. Luckily, she's got this giant Volkswagen van, and it's pretty cool because the origin of this van was talked about during their Cartoonist Kayfabe interview, and it was kind of funny because the reference they had for this van was so small, but they did a lot with that. Of course, they had the Fabulous Freak Brothers cover they were kind of playing with, but that was a subconscious choice, I'm sure. And it just so happens that this van is, large enough to house all these turtles. So we get these really cool scenes of April and the turtles, kind of like a windshield view right here, them loading up into the van and whatnot. And they even say, wow, April's really fast, little nudges to the comedy inside this book, where we hang up literally one page before the next panel, the van is screeching up to the alleyway where the turtles are hiding at the moment. So a lot of cool little humor parts inside here as well. And then here's a shout out to their storytelling abilities, right? So they're in this turtle van right here. They have to have a reason why the cops are going to chase them. They eluded them previously in the sewers. Nobody knows where they are, but off panel, there was a bank robbery, some kind of a heist, and the description of the vehicle that got away was one of these vans. So the police get them mixed up. That's the reason why they're being chased right now by the police. They don't understand why, like, oh, wait, I thought we got away from him. What the heck's going on? And so it's pretty cool that they were able to weave that in to basically turn this into a giant car chase issue. And they needed a way to do that. And this is a cool way to do that without complicating things. You know what I mean? So, you know, April's doing what she can do, and she's putting the pedal to the metal. And here is our chase scene starting right now. And, you know, you hear cartoonists all the time talk about how difficult it is in general just to draw vehicles. I can't imagine drawing it in a car chase kind of a scene, because you have all these different unique style cars outlined here, vastly different perspectives from this side to this side, even to over here. So there's many different orientations you need to think about when they're actually drawing these things. And then you need to draw movement too. So they do a great job of that by putting it in the dialogue too, like cut off the car in front of you. And she does just that in this way. And so like everything builds up, right? The art matches the story, the dialogue helps the reader, the speed lines, things like that. So they're doing a really good job of creating motion in here and just making this feel dramatic. And they do a really good job of doing that right there. And they're thinking about everything too. Like if the police are chasing this van, they're going to run the plates and they're going to find out April's name and things like that. So we even have moments here where we're like ripping the license plate off. So they really thought about a lot of different things when putting this together. And of course, you know, our car chase continues, and it needs to be as dramatic as possible. Cop cars smashing into pedestrian cars, things like that. And of course, there's more cars showing up and we're speeding through. Hey, why don't we go through the park? That's a good way to lose them. So you have all these cool moments in here where the scenes just kind of keep evolving and keep getting more and more chaotic. And that's exactly what we see in here. Even involving a bunch of different pedestrians, things like that, because nobody wants to run over the pedestrians. Even the cops say like, hey, maybe I can take out their tires, things like that. References to the A-Team, I pity the man, things like that. So again, they're dropping all these influences into these pages, either in the art or in the writing itself. And it's coming across really well. Even this poor couple here, what a lovely night, dear. They're kind of strolling through the park, stopping at the bridge right here, overlooking the water. And of course, they end up jumping over to avoid getting hit. And she ruins her new dress. So, oh well. Then of course, the chaos continues as we go through the park. We're losing more and more cops, hitting those concrete and wooden park benches. Do they even have those anymore? I remember those when I was a kid. But yeah, the car chase here is pretty epic, ending up with one of these cop cars here that is chasing them. They show some really quick maneuvering, things like that, bumping the cop cars around, which forces them to crash inside of the storefront. And this is just a showcase of some really, really great details and just, you know, a lot of things, a lot of debris, things like that, things that just take so much time. Not only do you have to take this cop car that was previously, you know, undamaged, but you need to smash in the front, figure out what that looks like, and then you got to scatter debris everywhere, and then you can put this great words, the words of the crash, right into the paneling and through the art itself. So again, just really adding a lot of extra things that they didn't need to add, but they were influenced so heavily on other guys that were doing similar things, and they wanted to make it as epic as possible, and I really think they pulled it off here. In the next couple of pages, they go through why the police were chasing this particular van. Of course, they're going down, they're happy that they eluded some of the cops, but this is where they actually come across the other VW van that actually did the heist earlier, and they hear the cop cars coming, they hear the sirens, things like that, and this is that, oh my, you know, who are you kind of a situation here. So they actually bump into each other, and the Turtles van knocks over the people that created the heist, and the police actually say, hey, look, we caught them, and some of the bandits are standing on top, presumably some of the money or whatever they stolen was seen, and so they're like, hey, I think we figured out who did this. And this is one of my favorite panels because it's two money shots back to back, and it's incredible. We have the people that created the heist earlier surrendering essentially right here, and all these cops are all over them. And if you read all the dialogue, it's hilarious. Basically, it's like every single police officer is telling them not to move. We have a halt, don't move, hold it, make my day, punk, stop, aha, freeze, cease and desist, remain motionless, and my favorite, do not ambulate. So it's just a really funny moment again. Amazing perspective. I mean, we got this gun barrel, so it's through the eyes of one of the officers on this chase. Really cool backdrop as well. Debris everywhere, cops all over the place, great emotions. just really well done with that page. And then I love this page over here too, because it really shows you the dark, gritty side of New York City back in the day. You got your live girls, neon scenes here. We got our beer on tap things. We got our biker gang people going through here. Dudes in like muscle shirts, smoking cigarettes. We have dudes hanging out, drugstores. Trash everywhere. Like, there's so much to look at inside this panel. It's just absolutely brilliant. And it immediately makes me think of the original movies and how dark and gritty all that was and how New York City was portrayed back then. It really captures all of that. So the comics in the movie really made New York City feel like a grimy, dirty, dangerous place. And it's things like this that really showcase that as well. So they did a really good job of that. This is a really cool scene because, you know, now we're through the cops. No one's chasing us. We're going back to April's apartment to hide out. And this really reminds me of the movie as well. They handled the scene very similarly, but they're sneaking up to her room right now. They're even asking her like, oh, who else lives here? Things like that, which is funny because they're turtles and she's human. And there's some, you know, things like that going on in the movies as well. And she goes on about how her dad had a stroke and he lives in a nursing home, which kind of brings back memories of like, oh yeah, our father is missing now too. And we got to do something about it still, but we're so tired, man. It's been such a crazy time. And they're, you know, just like admiring the place at the moment, checking out the bed. It's very different than the place that they live in the sewers, right? And so they're walking around, they're checking things out. She's getting them some blankets and stuff. And they make comments about like, oh yeah, you got any beer? You know, can I get you something to drink? Yeah, I'll take some beer and stuff. By the time she comes back, the turtles are all crashed on the couch and recliners and even on the floor. And, you know, she takes care of them and flips out the light for the night right there. So normally a comic would be over at this point, but we get this great epilogue here. Like, what happened to Splinter? What happened to him? And we start that story with this amazing vertical splash right here of this top-down view of the sewer, Splinter on this grate right now, surrounded by trash. He got his ass kicked, and we're going to figure out what happened there in these pages over here. So he regains his consciousness, but we actually walk through the events that led up to that moment. He was sitting back in their lair. The wall starts getting busted through. He thinks it's the turtles or something like that, but it turns out the Mauser units have found him and they're on the attack right now. And we get to see Splinter in action in this part right here. So we get some high-flying stuff. He's using his staff. He's using some of the knives and swords around him. They're chomping on the furniture. A lot of close calls in this, as he's saying right here. And he's like reminiscing. He's like, man, I really wish we had some of the turtles back, specifically Raphael, which I thought was interesting. So that potentially favoritism might be the reason why Raphael is so determined, you know, a combination of that and him being hot-headed in nature. Maybe that's a combination of things that brings these two together. But we have a lot of really great close calls in here. He's actually on the run and he gets cornered in this moment down here, which I thought was great. He finds a hole. He's running through and he gets surrounded by these Mauser units. Now he decides to go up because that's the only place he can go. Of course, the piping up there and things like that are not really reliable. He falls and hits his head. He crawls to safety. At the same time, these Mauser units are being called away. Presumably, that was the message or whatever that happened in issue number 2, which called them all to the Turtles' location. So Splinter kind of gets saved by that message. It's kind of happening at the same time. And he crawls away into the sewer system a little bit more and falls into the like stream right here of sewage, where he eventually lands by the grate and blacks out. Now, this is a really interesting scene too, because these TCRI guys show up at the scene right here, and they're basically cleaning up, right? They're checking out what the Mauser units are able to do. They come across this giant rodent. They don't exactly know what's going on. And this is where Splinter actually speaks to them and says, no, please don't shoot. They have this revelation like, oh my God, unbelievable. There's actually a talking rodent. He's badly injured. He's lost a lot of blood. Let's take him back to the infirmary and, clean him up and things like that. See what the heck is going on, because this is highly unusual. Again, landscape shot they don't need to do, highly complex angles, things like that, and great perspectives again. This book is nothing but great perspectives. We have all these different TCRI members like doctors and whatnot looking down on Splinter. He's hooked up to all these machines. He's getting well. He eventually regains consciousness and starts wondering like, where the heck is he? Who are those people and whatnot? And how do I get out of here? So he's on the run right now, trying to go around, but he hears some talking and he wants to check out, who exactly is behind all of this, right? And this is one of our big shocking moments right here, because when he looks into the room, of course, he finds some of the Utrons right here sitting on the table, drinking coffee or tea or whatever it is they might be drinking. And they have those suits, right, on the tables as well. So we understand here that these Utrons are like piloting these human body suits, and they're running this corporation essentially. And this is that first appearance or first look over at that situation right there. So really cool revelations towards the end of this book. Turtles are going to go to space very, very soon, and it's going to be completely insane and epic and everything. So going from the sewers to space, here's our bridge between that. And of course, here's our Raphael First, in a one-issue micro-series, Raphael TMNT with our Casey Jones first appearance as well. A little preview of issue number 4's cover. This, the fun fact, this part of the cover right here is actually the cover art on the Nintendo game cartridge, and we'll be seeing that here when I do my next episode, because I actually have my original game cartridge. Of course, we have our t-shirt iron-ons and whatnot you can send away for $3 plus postage. You can order that stuff right here. I'm sure that's still valid. And we get some cool pinup pages from Matt Horath as well. So that will actually conclude our look at TMNT issue number 3, the Mirage run from Eastman and Laird. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you missed issue number 1 and number 2, I do have that in my Key Comic Flip Through playlist, so make sure to check that one out. And I will be continuing this run through issue number 10, so look forward to those issues very soon. But as always, guys, I really appreciate you watching the video. Like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you in the comments.